Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Not to Get Political podcast. I'm Brandozer, and I'm joined today by my co-host, partner in crime, and favorite person today, KiwiLucas. You've been getting pretty spoiled with these graphics recently. I think
Exists
so.
last week.
Well, there was a graphic there.
It was not here. It was down there somewhere. I want it here.
I just feel like the direction that you and me are going with these graphics is heading to a crossroad, and we're not getting there because I don't know what it is. I think you're asking too much of me to add a graphic for you for about 6 seconds.
So easy. I like this. This is a little bit of a spoiler for like a video that I've got coming out, but I'm playing like a way out, and there's like a brief second where you see your old mate's cock, and I had to put a graphic over that so no one looked at his cock. It took me like that. I was done.
There was a graphic there last week. I'm sure of it. I put a
It was
graphic.
not here. It was there. I want it here.
That just I don't know why, and it's probably me being a fucking shouldn't swear actually. Probably me being a bit thicker than usual. That just reminded me of those old Hungry Jack's burger ads. Yeah, that's you know what? You don't get a graphic this week. You get a Whopper in your hands.
As long as it's here, I
That's
don't
all you're
care.
getting. That's it. That's
Yeah.
what it is.
You won't do that. That's too much effort for you.
It is. I don't even know how to do that. I'm not gonna lie. My editing skills are poor. I would say.
Improving.
Definitely, I can see myself improving when I edit. Actually, um, when I first started, content creating and everything, I refused. Like almost, and very stubbornly as well. Was just so angry and always got frustrated, and I didn't know how to cut at all, and I didn't know how to make slight cuts and change things like that. And now I think that's something I can see that I've gotten better at. So I really really appreciate editing a lot. And I appreciate the skill set that I am learning as well.
You literally like do a class at high school learning to edit that taught you nothing.
Well, it didn't teach me nothing. It taught me like irrelevant information, I would say. Honestly, like, oh, sorry, Pepsi Max is just so good. Not sponsored, by the way.
Right.
Sorry,
What?
Pepsi Max. Nice little
Yeah,
inside joke
so
there. Um, yeah, so I did film and TV in grade 11 and 12. And it was kind of just, I don't know, it just existed as a. I thought it would be really cool. I thought I wanted to get in the film industry and do all that sort of stuff. And it's just such a weird subject where it was go out, take a camera, film some shit, whether it was a music video or a short film or whatever it ended up being, and produce it. And that was kind of our whole class. And there was like essays and written portions and stuff like that as well. It was never like this week we're gonna learn how to edit, or this week we're gonna learn how to do this specific editing skill, like jump cuts or things like just weird specific things you could see. And it's just I don't know, maybe
it was just figure it out yourself, basically.
pretty much, or go ask the teacher who was incredibly busy because she'd be helping 20, 30 students asking a different skill for editing for their project. So yeah, I don't know, maybe that's something I'd love to do classes on it now as an adult. Maybe I'd get better much more better information. I don't even think that's a real sentence, but um,
Have you thought about doing like a Skillshare sort of like one of those sort of programs where it's like don't have to go anywhere, costs like fuck all?
yeah, I
Yeah.
have. I don't know why,
Yeah.
but that cost is just still a barrier to me, and it so shouldn't be, because I've spent some really, really stupid money on really, really stupid things. I feel like definitely taking the time to sit down and learn how to edit for such a nice small chunk of change each week would be really beneficial. So, might be something I'll look into actually. But I know
Then we can get some. Then we can get some top quality graphics.
I feel like you got a top quality graphic twice now actually,
Eh,
maybe three
uh,
times even, but at least twice.
bottom of the bar. I want you to raise that bar, man. Raise that bar.
All right, look, it's not only for your graphics as well. It's definitely going to help for my YouTube content and all that sort of stuff. I have always
Yeah,
said though. I'll go on.
it's not a bad skill to have going forward. You can use it for plenty of different things. Like yeah, a lot of things are going more digital these days, so
Yeah,
can't hurt.
I have always said though that once I start how do I say this? Once I start earning like an income that's comfortable, the first thing the first person I'm going to pay is you. Trust me, you've done so much like to help me out for everything like behind the scenes on my channel. Even people like thumbnails, things like that. It's fucking awesome, by the way. I appreciate it a lot. See, there's your thumbnail. You send me one of those every week, actually, and I really appreciate it. The second person, sorry, um, the second person I would hire, or I guess the first official hire, whatever you want to call it, is definitely an editor, because I feel like the skills I'd learn editing, yeah, they'd be great. But the second I can get someone to take it to the next level and do way more for me and my channel, I feel like that's an investment more than anything else. So yeah, definitely something I'd look into.
Especially if you can find someone where it's their like passion to do that sort of thing, and
Yeah, 100%.
when you find someone with a passion, it always seems to that passion comes through, and yeah,
I just feel like it's definitely one of those things that, um, yeah, like you said, if someone's passionate, they really really dive into it, know what they're doing and everything. It's better than me just like doing learning on the way, and I'd still love to learn and pick up the skill and everything. But you look at some of the top YouTubers and streamers and stuff, they have like professional, almost grade videos made by really, really good editors. So, yeah, something like that would be amazing.
yeah, fair enough, fair enough, fair enough.
And how have you been going with your editing? Your videos are getting uploaded every week as well on Game Train?
Yeah, look, because with being like Game Train being a couple people, sometimes it's Keith editing, sometimes it's Luke, sometimes it's me. So we just muck around, take a couple different turns, just like we can change that sort of thing. Like I feel like I'm getting better, but at the same time, I just pump it out, get it done, make it look as presentable as possible. Like I'm not too too hung up on making it amazing because at the end of the day, being that like it's the three of us, I don't want it to be like one week someone does like a super like really good job, like one of us just being like way better, and then the next week the quality dips. Like you gotta, it's a fine line. Like I don't want to add too many things if I know it's going to be difficult for the other guys to add, and I don't want the other guys to add things that are going to be difficult for me to add. So like I went through in a couple weeks ago or a week ago probably now and made like a bunch of graphics that can go with the videos and that sort of thing. So there's little things and little nuances that I'm getting better with, and I'm getting like quicker at doing it. Obviously, like going through often like a couple hours of footage and picking the best footage and that sort of thing and editing it together is going to give you experience with it. But yeah, editing, yes.
Speaking of
I
editing,
don't
you
know.
probably noticed a cut just then. um, yeah, I don't know. Do you see you guys? Have you talked about like an editor eventually? And I know we both, again, we keep saying it very very early on in all these projects and everything. So I feel like there's a lot of things we can talk about and dream of at this stage. But yeah, have you guys made that discussion at all about using an external source for that sort of stuff at all, or just You're keen to like
Yeah.
roll with it as it is for now.
Um. So like when we first came up with the idea of like actually making the channel and that sort of thing, where that was very much on the card. What are we going to do if or when we make a profit and that sort of thing? So like our first instances of any profit is to go straight back the into the channel and that sort of thing. So like none of us will be making a profit off the channel for a while until obviously we can get it to what we want it to be and look more professional. That sort of, if that makes sense. So I feel like if you're investing enough time and money into something, it always feels like it's being worked on harder. And at the moment, we're investing time, but we don't have the money to invest. So it's a matter of hopefully down the track that we'll be able to put the two in together and have a better product than what we got at the moment, which I'm enjoying. We're getting some quite a few like return viewers and that sort of thing that are interacting. We always get a couple comments on each video and that sort of thing. But you know, more the merrier.
I know we haven't really talked about it too much, but I don't know if friendly competition's the right word, but it's always nice to see what you're doing with your videos, Keith with his streams and things like that, and just kind of helping each other out and creating content with each other. And yeah, kind of, I don't know, like you said it once, and I really like that you kind of put that into perspective that we're kind of all on this journey together. And we do different things, but we're still friends, and we try and help each other, I think. And yeah, it's just one of those things.
Yeah, it's very much a. I like to say it's very much a market where if you're bringing negativity towards other people that are doing similar or even different things to you, that like I feel like that's when people start to like not like your product. If you're bringing like that positive energy towards other channels and that sort of thing, that's when you start to make people interested in what you're bringing to the table, and it elevates both platforms rather than
Yeah, 100%.
jumping off another one.
It's why like I've always encouraged all my friends to stream at different points, and um, some have streamed before I even started, and a few have jumped on and jumped off, and when they're getting back on and things like that. Like Curdy, for example, you guys will eventually see the podcast we have with him. It's that one's just a big edit because he has a family, has small kids, and like you can imagine small kids coming in and out of the podcast and yelling and kicking and screaming a fair few times. So that's on me why that one hasn't been out yet. But he's got a young family and they've moved out now, and he started streaming again, and I'm super happy for him because I know he's passionate about it and he doesn't quite know where to go or what to do, but he got a logo done by a professional and he's trying out different things, and he's super into Path of Exile. And I definitely recommend that he does Path of Exile YouTube content to go with his streaming. So hopefully he comes back on. You guys see some more Curdy, but yeah, same as Jason as well, who was supposed to be on tonight's podcast, the illustrious Jason, who we've name dropped a few times. Um, or Eat Bugs TV, he streamed for a bit, and we kind of had that almost little bubble of everyone giving it a good crack. And so a few people have stayed, a few people have gotten busy and had to move on with families and work and stuff like that. But yeah, I think having that tight circle where we all kind of help each other out has always been something awesome. So yeah,
Yeah, we've always been pretty encouraging to like anyone we talk about. We would love to try and get on the podcast at some point, and like I think that like Keith was a perfect example. Myself was an example, and that sort of thing. And yeah,
yeah.
Curdy, if you end up putting that one, and then when Elon comes on, we're all good. But
I think it's been a hot minute since an Elon Musk name drop, so I'm happy to see him back.
I'm pretty sure he was dropped on the Lost podcast.
Uh, I kind of like calling it the Lost Podcast now too. By the way, feels more special than the podcast I haven't been bothered to edit yet. Speaking of editing, um, you know, you are right too. Like, there's a ton of people I'd love to have on this podcast, and I kind of like the thing we've got going too. Like, we can just sit down and chat shit for an hour or two and be totally comfortable with it. And then, you know, Joe, who we started the podcast with, and he's been on and off a few times. I'd love to have him back. Curdy, who you guys haven't seen. Keith, who's pretty busy. So, you know, people have lives, and I don't know why we don't. We're here every week. But yeah, just I'd love to definitely have more people on the podcast, and I don't see us stopping anytime soon. So we'll definitely get some people back or some new friends and other influence other influencers. Please punch me the next time I say that. Other content creators and people like that on the podcast as well. Maybe we're not quite friends with, and you know, it just yeah. I saw that mosquito,
You
by
know,
the way. I remember you told me yesterday, legitimately, that you like smoke bombed or insect repellent bombed your room, and they're still around.
it's fucked, man. Um, Literally, because like it's a Northland problem, I think. Like, so I live in Northland, New Zealand, for those that don't know, and we had like rain for like what 3 days straight, and then it's been like really hot, like since yesterday afternoon all through today. So you know, it's just like perfect breeding ground for mosquitoes. And I don't have a fan in my room at the moment. Usually I do. Um, so I've been like leaving my window open. Like I actually don't like ever close my window realistically, but I left my window open yesterday when I went out, and I came home, and like my whole ceiling was just covered in mosquitoes. I was like, this is the worst thing I can imagine.
That's nightmare fuel. Like it really is.
Oh,
You like
like I tried to go to bed, and I could literally hear the room like buzzing. I'm like, nah, I
oh
need to.
yeah.
And so, and because I was up talking to Brandon and one of our other mates, Pat, until like 4 a.m., and I was just like fumigating my room at like 4:30 in the morning. Like it was, yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like the activity you want to be doing at 4:30 in the morning.
No, I feel like I nearly like killed myself with insect repellents. Yeah.
No,
At least I learned I'm not a pest because it couldn't kill me.
I don't know where to
Yeah.
go from there. You're usually the segue guy. Um,
I haven't even actually looked at our notes this week. Oh,
is
I have. I haven't looked at them in what you can tell when I'm looking at them because the screen light bounces off my face. Have a look at the difference, ready? Bing, bing.
well, that's speaking of blue light. Did you hear? And you probably didn't because I feel like I'm more entwined in this kind of culture than you are. Did you hear the Valkyrie controversy at all?
I think you were mentioning it at one point. Was it you mentioned? Someone mentioned it.
Me and I know Joe is pretty into this space as well. So, if you, do you know who Valkyrie is?
Apex Legend chick.
Um, no. So she's a streamer, and I think she was pretty big on YouTube. Sorry, Twitch first, and went over to YouTube, and she's probably one of the biggest streamers on any platform. Um,
She streams Apex Legends.
does she? Probably, but she's not the character from the video game Apex Legends. Um, no, so she just partnered with the company. I think she was a co-founder, is what her title was, for a skincare brand called Reflect, and their whole business model was. Sorry, I got hiccups. I always get hiccups when I drink Pepsi Max. Um, Her whole business model was skincare for gamers to help with the blue light rays from computers and phones and all that sort of stuff. And she kind of got a bit roasted for partnering up with this company and selling this product because apparently, allegedly, that it's for a problem that doesn't exist. So she got pretty harassed online for it, which is a bit upsetting. But yeah, at the same time, she partnered up with this company and sold products that don't need to exist, I guess.
Yeah, what she's removed any mention of 100 Thieves and Reflect due to ongoing skincare backlash from community.
Yeah, so I watched a stream today or yesterday. I can't remember when it was. The last couple of days, she did a massive stream and answered all these questions, and she was pretty open and transparent about it. Where she was, saying that she partnered up with the company and they wanted to work together, and she didn't really create it. She was more of a I think the first title she had was something like content creator, not ambassador, something more important than that, but one of those type of roles, like almost like we're going to pay you to promote the product because you're a huge influencer, like almost.
Yeah,
So when she partnered up with the company, they apparently showed her all these studies and why blue light's so bad and it messes your skin up and all that sort of stuff. So she has all that information, and she was telling everyone today she cannot release that information because it's bad for their business because other businesses will steal the information and use it and use the science and all this sort of stuff. Which is, I get that because the
yeah,
skin lines and skin like products and all that sort of stuff and makeup and beauty, it's like a $1 billion industry based on what your product can do versus somebody else's. I feel. Um, I'm not an expert in the field because clearly I don't use it. My skin is very average. So yeah,
that
I don't
sounds
know.
lovely.
Do you have any opinions on this with your lovely skin?
But as you said, it's one of those things that annoys me with online communities often is that like she'll be facing so much backlash from basically having backed research that she's been given,
Yeah,
and that's a big thing with a lot of stuff going around at the moment is like people have all this research that's going out there and everywhere, and it's really hard to believe what is real, what is fake, and so she could 100% be doing the right thing for her like beliefs in that because she looks at this and like, oh man, this is a major problem, I want to help people, and then people are like just shitting on it because they're like they think they know better, and yeah, it's a weird sort of situation she gets herself into when you back a product you don't really know about. Like if it was her research, then I think it'd be a lot different because then like everyone could then actually be the ones like shitting on her because it was her that went out and did it. But I think they need to look more at the company who are like their R&D department or whatever, and they're the ones they should be focusing the hate or whatever's going on, rather than focusing it on someone that's just come in to essentially push numbers up.
yeah, I totally get that. I feel like I don't know. You can't really like. Obviously, no one's approaching me and saying that hey, come join us and be a brand ambassador or whatever like that. But I feel like you can't. What?
I mean, you had a little sponsorship approach.
Oh,
Haven't yeah.
everyone gets that though. Honestly, I did look into that a bit further, and
I
a
haven't
lot.
got it. You just take it, man. Take it. It's a compliment.
All right, fair enough. I appreciate it. Then I will take it. I always feel weird and don't want to get like big headed and things like that. And I know part of it is growing, and part of the journey is that sort of stuff too. So it's this double edged sword almost. But no, I feel like if I was in her shoes, and what I think happened is she didn't understand or didn't know that they weren't going to hide this research from everybody. I definitely wouldn't sign up for a product like that without them pushing that. And that's like, why is that not part of their marketing in the first place? imagine having all this research about how bad blue light is for your skin, holding that, and then selling a product based on the problem that you can't provide the answer for because it's under trademark and all that sort of shit, and under patents and stuff. It's weird. It's a weird
Yeah,
one.
that side of it sounds pretty dodge to me. Um, there's definitely studies you could be releasing that shows that there is damage from it without showing the studies of how to prevent it, if that makes sense. They
Yeah,
can be like, this is how the damage is done. We've got this product to stop the damage. You don't have to show everyone, oh yeah, this is how you fix the damage. That everything in between, that's that grey area that like, it's like I don't realistically know how sunscreen works. Like I've never actually looked into sunscreen, but I'm like, okay, there's research done to show that like this UV rays from the sun causes like melanomas and other things like that. And then here's a product that helps like prevent that. So it's pretty dodgy sounding if they're not going to release the whole fact that it's doing damage.
I don't know. I just feel like also she's copping it pretty bad, and she seems like she's getting pretty rough treatment at the moment, and that kind of sucks too. Like, yes, you do something wrong. Maybe yes, you deserve to be criticized, but I don't think people are, and especially like other influencers. A lot of people are shitting on her for all this sort of stuff, and I feel like at the end of the day, you've done something wrong. You accept your punishment, or you accept your outcome, and you don't need to be shit on by everyone. And it's kind of sad. Like I feel, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Look, I think I have a chat with you, or I have a chat with at least someone like every couple of weeks, or that sort of thing. Like just how shit the internet community can be at times. Like I love when the internet comes together and they're a positive community. Like the guys that have supported us and that sort of thing. Like that's amazing. But man, when the internet gets just in that hateful place, it's horrible, man. Oh man, I was like trolling through Reddit the other day, and it made me hate people for like a good hour.
dude,
I just yeah,
Reddit's both the worst and sometimes the best internet website, but particularly the worst. Where all this information goes to is a subreddit called Livestream Fails, and that has thousands and thousands of people on that subreddit. So every day there's, you could do something on a live stream, um, put it, and someone will clip it, put it on their website, and you'll get thousands and thousands of people like shitting on you because you've done something wrong. Like,
yeah,
a good example would be Hassan, and I don't know if you know who he is, but he's a socialist kind of self-proclaimed socialist kind of guy. He has a few very very hot political points, and things like that. We don't get political here, so we're on the opposite spectrum. No, but he bought a house for like $2-3 million in LA after being a streamer for years and being really successful and all that
yeah,
sort of stuff. And people are shitting on him because he bought a nice house, but he's a self-proclaimed socialist. And he goes, "Tax me then." Like, I don't know. I just feel like it's always a double-edged sword. Like you keep driving to gain more and more success, but the more and more success you gain, the more and more people want to hate you for the sake of hating you, and that's fucked up. Like nobody should justifiably hate someone just for the sake of hating them more. You know,
yeah. To be honest, I actually think it would be hilarious to start using a site like that to promote yourself.
live stream fails.
Yeah, like just flip it on its head. The whole idea of like bringing together, because there's always that concept that like nothing brings people together than their hate for someone. Hate is like the strongest thing in the world. So if people can start hating you,
Not
no
according
no
to the Last
publicity
Jedi.
is bad.
What was the quote
Hey,
from that fucking terrible movie? I hate that movie so much. Um, no, I'm kidding. I do hate the movie, but they had that quote. It's like something ridiculous. It's like we can't destroy what we hate, but build around what we love, or some shit. I don't know, but
I like that
no,
quote.
yeah, I feel like
No,
it's relevant.
I, I
it's
don't
the
don't remember it from the movie.
it's the Rose chick, the one that she saves Finn because Finn was gonna suicide himself to save everyone. Um, and he doesn't. She like saves him, and realistically, they both should have just blown up there because she crashed her ship into his ship. Like, come on, um, man, what a terrible movie. But yeah, you don't remember that scene, and she gets out of her ship.
Yeah, I just don't remember the quote.
She gets into his ship, and she's like passing out, and he's actually okay, or whatever it is, and she's like, "Oh, we don't win by destroying what we hate, but saving what we love, or something."
I feel like you're off with the quote, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Makes me sick to my stomach, but it makes sense too. Sick to my stomach in the sense that I'd never want to quote episode 8 again in my life.
It's not as bad as you make it out to be.
Dude, I went and saw that movie midnight release. I was so excited. Like, you had no idea. I was something. I don't know what I was, but it was like a different level of wanting answers from The Force Awakens and finding development and all that sort of stuff. And I left that movie so fucking disappointed and like annoyed. It was just the worst. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I was just like, man, I I thought I was the only one that hated it too. By the way, and hate's a bad word, I should say. I was the only one who didn't like that movie. I thought I was the only one. And it turns out it's very decisive, and a lot of people enjoy it, and good, enjoy what you want to enjoy. But it just wasn't for me, and it was. I thought it was terrible. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not glad that other people shared my opinion, but I did feel validated in the fact that I wasn't the only one who left that theater and went, "What the fuck did I just watch?" Like,
Yeah,
I don't know.
and see that was a weird thing for me with the whole sequel trilogy. Is like being someone that like liked the films, didn't think they did the best job, like especially connecting it to everything else. Like I felt like it just felt so disjointed. As like what you call it, 7, 8, 9, just felt like they could have been in their own movies without actually being connected to the one before and that sort of thing. Um, I was sitting there going like, oh yeah, no, I enjoyed that, and then the like internet hate train got going, and I was just like, oh man, people hate this, and that's yeah,
Like to me,
it's
that was
discussion for
validation.
another day.
Yeah, I guess. None of the actors. Sorry, I keep rambling on. None of the actors did deserve like to get shit on too. For like, I think they all did fine. They acted in a movie. Like, what more can you ask of them to do? Do your fucking taxes or something? Like, they did what they were told to do. I don't think you should shit on them for it. So yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway, moving on. Are you excited for the remaster of the Grand Theft Auto trilogy? Number 3, San Andreas and Vice City are officially, and I think I've said this a few times on the podcast, but now they are officially launching. They're coming out in November. They exist. They are real. I'm not going to play them.
Vice City looks cool. If it's on Game Pass, I'd play it. But I, to be honest, the thing is, and like I know people love the story for San Andreas and GTA 3 and that sort of thing. I can't see myself playing San Andreas when GTA 5 is based in San Andreas. So it's like it's the same thing for me with going back and playing Red Dead 1. Is like the story's really got to captivate me. Slash, I can't like remember what happens for me to want to go and play in the same world when there's a better version of it somewhere. Like even though this is a remaster, it's not being remastered like to the standard of GTA 5. It's like they've gone and got like the old ones, and they've you know slapped a new coat of paint on them. Like they look good. Like in regards to what they are, but You know, I would love, and this is me, GTA 6. Like, I love a GTA 6 that's in the world of like Vice City. So it's just like that Miami sort of grungy, like, you know,
Yeah.
it's all meant to be that flashing lights, like gangsters sort of lifestyle, but then there's the big underground. Like, I'd love that rather more than like remakes of the old ones.
Vice City's a bit like over the topish too. Like the colors are definitely different. You have like the neons and it's a bit more, I guess, flamboyant would be the word, which is a bit different from the undergroundness of the San Andreas kind of area and GTA 5. And I don't know, I feel like it's cool to go between the two. But yeah, I'm definitely with you on this one. I want to play them a bit. Like that's all. I don't see myself being so excited or smashing them and beating the three of them and all that sort of stuff either. So yeah,
Yeah,
not for me, but I'm excited for the people who are excited for this, I guess. But man,
yeah.
it's
I don't know if you played it, but there was one of the DLCs for um GTA 4s was the Ballad of Gay Tony, and that kind of brought a similar sort of like story lifestyle to that game, which was that one was based on New York though, so like it wasn't the same sort of thing, but it brought that like club party lifestyle, which I enjoy in a GTA game
yeah, yeah,
because I think there's very much like there's three probably like main GTA stories, and there's like the gangster, the kind of like family man gone wrong sort of thing, and then there's like the
wild card.
well, no, I'm not going off like your GTA
Yeah,
5
yeah.
guys.
I know what you
So
mean
I
though.
mean, yeah, I mean gangsters and like gangs, and then yeah, family man guys, and then like gangsters and like your mafia sort of style one, and so it is cool to see them revisit them. Think like if they had have properly announced them at that Sony conference when they did the GTA 5 like GTA 5 on PS5. I think that would have killed the hate a little bit, but
It would have softened the
yeah,
blow of Rockstar being like, "Hey, guess what? We're relaunching instead of giving you GTA 6, which is what you all want." So definitely
yeah.
would have softened that blow. GTA, I liked 5. I really liked 5, but I'm not this like I don't think it was that good. And maybe that's because I never played the online. I only played through the story and kind of the open sandboxness to it. I thought the game, like, it was very tight control. It was very well responding. The graphics at the time were great. I think they might have actually been bad. I can't even remember what they are now. I think the graphics were good for the time. I remember playing it on Xbox 360 when I had it, buying it on PS4 because I wanted to finish it and play it with upscale graphics and everything. Sorry, just kind of had the hiccups again. um, yeah, I don't know. I just feel like it's not this. To me, I don't think it's in the discussion of best game of all time at all either. I get the sales for it though because it was explained. I think Alana Pierce, if you know who she is, she always talks about she never understood why it was in the top 10 selling games every month or at least four, five, six times a year, whatever it was, and she just kind of explained or got explained to her that the game makes sorry, there's new 15-year-old kids turning 15 every year who buy this game, or 12, or 13, or whatever age they are, that just keep buying this game, who don't own it, who want to play it now, who didn't play it on launch. Like,
Mm.
it makes sense. That makes sense to me. And it's this huge phenomenon of a game that I kind of think, and maybe this is just me, um, years later, not playing it for maybe 5 years at this point, probably longer, I think it's like a 8 out of 10, 7.5 out of 10. Like, from memory, the story was kind of average and the gameplay was fine. Like, I don't know.
I think the best way to explain it is Tell me right now what other open world sandbox modern day game you can play on its level.
Ghost of Tsushima.
It's not modern day.
What do you? Oh, sorry. I thought you meant like published today.
No, no. Like
Okay,
literally,
yeah.
like the game is set in modern day time. There is nothing on its level. Like the closest thing would be
Cyberpunk.
Saints Row.
Oh, okay, yeah. And they're shit games too. Like they're just kind of not shit games. They're just games that exist, I guess. I don't think they're
Like
bad,
yeah,
but they're not amazing either.
it's one of those games where like it has found its niche and no one else can really compete on its level. That's where you've got to like you got to compare it to other things in its category, and like there is nothing really that you can compare it to that stands on its level at all. And then like if you think about like when it released and the stuff that it was doing is now stuff that games are only just integrating now. Like the for example, the three character like being able to swap between any of the three characters at any point. That's like one of the big selling points for the PS5 was having this SSD that's meant to be able to like change you to different worlds and stuff like that. I think it's in the Ratchet and Clank game, and it's like GTA showed that that was possible like years ago. Like I know it's not on the same level, but the same
Yeah, I
concept
totally understand your
scaling up.
comparison there. It's more or less that GTA walked so that Ratchet and Clank could run, kind of thing, is what you're saying, I guess.
Yeah,
And I totally get that too. And it's just I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Like I could possibly be wrong. Let me know in the comments. If you think GTA is the best game of all time, or I'm wrong here. But yeah, I don't know. It's
I
just
see. I
that's
don't
my
think it's the
opinion.
best game of all time.
See,
I just,
yeah. Like I
I
guess
just feel like it's a solid at least a nine. I reckon.
fair, fair. You are right though. Like I think the closest thing that tried to emulate what GTA was and kind of make it their own was Cyberpunk, and look how that turned out. Abysmal, I guess, is the
It's
right
still
word.
coming. It's still coming.
Oh, don't get me
They
wrong. They could probably turn it around and make it the best game ever, but it wasn't, and it's not. And no matter what they do, I don't think they'll ever garnish their
no.
reputation back for Cyberpunk. Maybe for future games, which are for or whatever else they want to deal with. Yeah, sure, totally 100%. They've learned their lesson. I think, in my opinion, they will bounce back from that. Cyberpunk will never be the game it was supposed to be. Like never, and it's unfortunate, but it happened now. It's what it is in our timeline. So, um,
You know they delayed the like next gen versions of them.
yeah, that's right.
Both
Yeah,
Witcher 3 and yeah, and Cyberpunk, they both got delayed, which is good. At least they're finally realizing that they need to delay stuff.
well, it's definitely not shocking news, and I haven't. I honestly played probably 30 hours of Cyberpunk, and there was enough problems in there for me to go, this is it for me. I'm done here, and I'm not touching this game again. Never finished the story, barely did anything noteworthy in the side missions, did a couple, but not everything. Um, would I love to play that game again? Maybe when I get a 3080, sure. But until then, like, sure, I got a new computer, processor, everything like that. It would probably still look good, but just still in that 1080, I just feel like it's still not enough for that game, and um, for me to play anyway. Maybe on the PS5 as well. You know, I just
I
maybe
feel
I
like you
will
need an
revisit it.
RTX for it, eh?
Yeah, yeah. I feel like it's yeah,
It
it
was it was
does.
it was built to have ray tracing, so like why have a card that doesn't?
Yeah, I feel like it was
Do it.
too ambitious as well, that game. Like they tried to throw everything but the kitchen sink in there and not realize and not kind of critique themselves into slowing down. I think too.
This problem, and this is what I've gathered from what's all the information's out there is like the developers didn't want to make it a like a previous gen title at all. They wanted it to be a straight PC and then like Xbox Series X, PS5 game. Like they didn't want to even worry about the other thing. And then like halfway through the process of them going, yeah, this is going to be for that. The like higher ups and that are like, no, you need to be able to make it work on this. And so they literally had to like halt their progress like halfway through development and scale everything down while they've already promised like all the stuff that like now they're like, oh shit, we can't really even do that, but we've got to somehow get it in there. It was just like it's similar to the whole like movie studios meddling with like creators' dreams. It's like sometimes you just need to let the developers do their thing, and like if that means it's gonna be available to less of an audience, then that's reality of it. It's like we're at a stage, I think, where we're what a year into the PS5 and like Xbox Series X releases, right? Like I know the availability of these have been low, but there's not a lot of games that you're like looking at and they're going, yes, this is exclusively next gen.
Yeah,
Like
100%. There's literally one example, and there's probably a few games out there. Literally one example I can think of, and that's the Ratchet and Clank Rifts Apart game. Um,
yeah,
and that's the only game I can think of at the top of my head that is a next generation game or a PS5 era game. Um, I feel like almost everything else is, and I will poke this at Xbox more so as well because Xbox have gone the route where they want their games on more platforms rather than they want to develop for only the future. So they're still limiting their software and their games to run on the old Xbox, the Xbox One and the Xbox One. Uh, Lucas, the
yeah.
Xbox names
But
destroy me, but you know what I'm trying to
you,
say, right?
you do realize that they're not limiting themselves as much though because they've decided that like if a game's going to be playable from now on the older generations, it's because they're using like cloud technology. So your Xbox isn't doing as much of the processing of what it would have to do. If that makes sense.
Okay, that's pretty
So
cool.
I understand what you're saying is like they've got this vision of being able to have it on everything, but and this is I did a read into it. Oh, last year, I think it was, and this was like when they first started talking about like the Xbox like cloud streaming, which I think they were calling it Project X Cloud or something at the time. But essentially, they what they wanted to be able to do is be like, you should be able to get like next gen quality games and play them on like a shit PC or a Xbox One and that sort of thing because we're taking up a lot of that processing power through the cloud, which I think's a good like it's a good way to think about it because it just means like a lot less people need to actually shell out for higher end equipment. It's just is it gonna work? Yeah.
Well, it wouldn't work in places in Australia because of how bad our internet is, and yeah, I think it's one of those really really good ideas in theory and really good in um, design and how they're going to try and get it to work. And I know they've pushed it in a few different places. I think you even said you've used xCloud. Um, but I just think at the same time, it's one of those things that maybe we're on the cusp of, but we're not quite there yet as well.
Do you want to know how I use it?
Go on.
I use it so what I'll do is I'll stream my Xbox to my PC so that I can use Discord while still hearing the game audio. That's pretty much the only thing that I've used it for.
That's pretty
Um,
brilliant, though. I mean, obviously, in an ideal world, Discord's on Xbox, and Xbox almost bought Discord, but now they're partnered with Sony and they're not on Sony yet, so they're not on the PlayStations. Um, so yeah, I don't know. It's just obviously that's the ideal world, but at least you found a solution for it.
yeah, I like. I was going to say something, but it's completely slipped my mind.
I apologize. I think that's partly my fault. I did cut you off.
Oh no, I'm just mental blanked. It's just me being tired because I haven't had enough sleep. But it was to do with Xbox.
Ex-
we might look. Let's just move on to something else,
All right, cool. Well, Sony
and
has a bit
I'll
of news
think.
as well. If, as soon as you think of it, blurt it right out. But we'll move on.
Yeah.
There's a state of play coming out this week for Sony as well, so
Okay.
I'm pretty excited. I have no idea what's going to be showcased. So the rumors are a few third party games, and if I think it's only third party games. Sorry, so I think fingers crossed Final Fantasy 16 gets shown. That's literally one of the reasons. It's 16. There's 16 games. I can mention one a week. They're different titles. There's like 16 Final Fantasies, and there's like 4 games of each of them. It's fucking ridiculous.
Exactly.
And I love them to
I
bits.
also thought about what I was going to say.
Go on.
The thing that I think that cloud gaming should be used for is to be able to like when you buy your game, you should be able to just be like, yep, play straight away, and then it can just install in the background, and then eventually once it's finished installing, it moves over to like using your console to process it rather than the cloud. I think that would be like the like
I think
go
that's a
to.
lot too, by the way. Like that's got to be a huge thing to do, right? Like you that's just like thinking of uncomprehendable logistics of trying to figure out how that would work is beyond me. So I don't
Oh,
know.
like I know, I can literally go and play like cloud games now without having to download the game. So why shouldn't it be like I can play the game now while it installs on my console? Like it is like it is a thing. It's just not all the games are available to do it. I think that's the way of the future of some of the cloud gaming, and then it's like it can be used similarly for stuff like the last or this Modern Warfare or whatever had like what like
Yeah,
nearly
3, 4, 500 gigabytes or something ridiculous.
yeah. And so it's just you can use that sort of cloud gaming to alleviate space on hard drives and that sort of thing. I think that's the way of the future of it. But yeah, back to your Sony stuff.
Yeah, they've just got a state of play. So, and they're focusing on third party, I believe, rather than first party. So, the other game I'm excited for is Sony just acquired Bluepoint, and if you don't know who that studio is, they're big on remasters and remakes and IP that Sony has and helping them out with that sort of stuff. So, the other rumor that's floating around is they are working on a Bloodborne remaster for PS5 and Bloodborne 2, which I haven't played the first one. I wanted to, and I literally can play it on PlayStation Plus right now. I just haven't yet, so I don't know. I feel like it's yeah. I'm definitely super excited for Bloodborne. I hear everyone who's played it's talked good things about it, so just one of those games I missed. I think too. So yeah, Bloodborne and Bloodborne 2.
So have they've confirmed that Blue Point's releasing something? Is that what you're saying?
Well, no. So the rumor is it's sorry. Yes, I think the rumor or it's confirmed is that Bloodborne. Sorry, bleh. The rumor. I do not know if it's confirmed. Bluepoint are working on 2 games: an original IP slash original game, and a remaster. So the remaster is going to be Bloodborne, and the new IP, or I know it's not original IP, or the new product is Bloodborne 2. Um, so, yeah, who knows? I'm super excited to play those as well.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because I'm just looking at like Blue Point's like the games they developed, and it's making me more think that it could be a that like rumored Metal Gear remaster because they did the Metal Gear Solid HD collection for like PS3 and that, and then they also worked on the Uncharted series, which like an Uncharted thing coming out like alongside the movie would be not a dumb idea.
I feel
They
like that
also
already
worked on
exists.
a port for Titanfall.
Oh, that's pretty cool. But
But
they,
yeah, like, I haven't played any of the like Soulsborne games. Like I played, I think like 5 minutes of number three. I didn't enjoy how it felt. Um,
yeah.
it's not like the challenge. challenging parts of it. Like I enjoy playing games that challenge me, but it's just I don't know. It felt clunky, and like it probably wouldn't if I got further into it and that sort of thing. And I probably played it like when it was an older sort of games thing. I'd love to play Sekiro. Um,
Yeah,
that's probably the one.
I've played an hour or two of Sekiro, and it's just something that I haven't. Well, actually, my friend Jake's borrowing my Xbox. He's had it for like almost a year at this point, so I can't play Sekiro because I bought it on Xbox. So maybe when he returns it eventually one day, I'd love to sit down and play Sekiro. But yeah, it's just something I haven't got around to finishing playing. So it's just I don't know. I'd love to definitely give Sekiro a crack, but played about an hour, put it down. It was like, okay, it's hard. I think I need to dedicate some more time to it. I need to sit down and properly give it the respect it deserves, and just haven't touched it since. So
Yeah.
yeah,
No, I think those games is those like difficult games are ones where it's so easy to just like put them down and then forget about them. And it's a weird sort of world. If you're not invested in them, you kind of don't want to play them.
yeah, I definitely know what you mean. At the same note, though, I know guys who have played Bloodborne and Dark Souls 1, 2, 3, and Sekiro. They've played and they've beat them like 4 or 5 times because they love that challenge and that I feel like Elden Ring's a huge game that I'm excited for just because it looks really good. I'm not super excited about the challenge of how that game is, but I'm really excited for the world and the universe and everything that's created behind Elden Ring. So more than stoked to play that game, and maybe it did just get delayed a month too. By the way,
I was
it's
going to
out
say
in
that I knew there was
yeah.
some sort of news about it, but I couldn't think of what the news
They
was.
pushed it back from January 22nd to February 25th, or some date like that. So they delayed it a
Yeah.
month, which I'm okay with. Maybe it gives me a chance to play Dark Souls on stream, or Sekiro, or some kind of FromSoft game, which they do amazing stuff, and I'm excited for Elden Ring more for the story and the lore than anything. So yeah, hopefully that pans out alright.
Yeah.
Are you like you sitting anywhere high on the excitement for Elden Ring, or are you more kind of just like and ahhing?
Nah, it's kind of one of those things that I will closer to its release. I'll see if I'm interested or not. It just kind of looks like a From Software version of blah blah blah. My brain just melted. Skyrim, like that sort of, you know.
Yeah,
It just it's but it's is it linear or is it an open world? I honestly don't know these things.
I don't know either. I've kind of tried to stay away from information because I
Yeah,
want to play it and experience it. I could imagine it being linear-ish more so than open world. It
yeah,
might have actually. That's another thing that's not in the notes that we could talk about. Is speaking of linear versus open world, is Pokemon Arceus or the Legend of Arceus is they came out and said that that's now not going to be open world. It's going to be more linear esque and have that Monster Hunter type feel to it. So it's going to have open world parts, but it's not going to be this full Breath of the Wild thing that everyone was kind of hoping it would be. Which I know we're sidetracking from Elden Ring a bit now, but I'm super bummed that that's not what we're getting with that product, and I'm way less excited for it now than what I was knowing what it is. So
to
yeah,
be honest, when I seen like the last like Pokemon releases, I was like I almost sat there and goes, this makes me feel like I'm over Pokemon. Like I love Pokemon. I played like pretty much every mainline Pokemon game there is. And I looked at Arceus and I looked at what's it, Brilliant Pearl or whatever they
brilliant,
are. Like
shining pearl, or what, yeah.
they're the worst names I've heard. There's some bad names. I heard that and I was just like, these don't interest me at all. And I played Pearl and I loved Pearl, but I just looked at it and I was just like, this does not interest me at all. And I was
So
just,
all three of them don't
felt like
interest
a
you.
part of me died. Nah.
Yeah, fair enough. I definitely think
Yeah.
Arceus piqued my curiosity, but it almost died. I know exactly what you're saying because Sword and Shield almost killed it for me too. The fact that they missed so many Pokemon, I think they really, really dropped the ball with what they tried to go for there and tried to tell us, the consumers, why they did it. And um, just terrible, crazy decisions over there. And then they drop Diamond and Pearl remakes that they're not my games, so I'm not super attached to them. Actually, I've never. I think Gen 4 is the only gen that I haven't played. I played every other Pokemon game and finished it except for Gen 4. So yeah,
It's a good game. Like, don't
yeah.
get me wrong. It's probably one of my favorite. Like, the original Diamond Build, I think, is one of my favorite ones. But
Well, a lot of people say Platinum's their game. Emerald's definitely my game. I love Emerald. I think Gen 3 is the best gen. Um,
yeah,
but I know a lot of people who played Gen 4 were, Platinum or Diamond and Pearl, whatever you played, was their game, sort of thing. So yeah, I want to play them almost just because I miss them, but at the same
yeah,
time, it's just not going to get me. I think like I'm more comfortable. I've got so many games that I still want to play, and there's so many games that still come out between now and the end of the year that I'm more excited for. I don't think anything's really caught me, but definitely more than Pokemon has. Maybe there's a few games out there I can't even think off the top of my head either, to be honest.
do you want me to like, you know what I think it is, and I think it's the same for me. Is
I
like
swear to God, if you tell me
you
I'm getting too old, I will leave
no
right
no
now.
no, it doesn't. It's nothing about age. I think it's to do with the Pokemon games. Is like you've seen Arceus, and you're like, hey, look, they're going to do something different. Like they're actually evolving from what they've done, rather than like they've been doing the same thing without like evolving for so long. Like evolving is probably like you know no pun intended, but
It's
like
a bit on the nose.
they're like they've done the same sort of formula for so long without enough changing, I think, and it's kind of gotten to that point where we are that age where it's just like okay, this is getting stale. Like I know you're trying to cater to that young demographic that this is now their Pokemon games, and it's you need I think they just need a spice up. Like I think like have your mainline games and that sort of thing, but like Arceus should have been an opportunity for them to really experiment and do something new. Um, I know they experimented with like Sun and Moon, and I don't think they took the right approach. But it was like at least they tried something different, you know. Um, it's just like I would be happy to do a Pokemon game that felt different, where all you're doing is like, okay, we're going to go through and beat all the gyms and beat the gym leader, but just give us a reason behind it. Like, craft a good story, give us a reason, make it like somewhat open world. Like, obviously, your open world for a Pokemon game needs to be somewhat locked so you're not going to the wrong place at the wrong time. But like that can just be locked behind like high level Pokemon and stuff like that. It's just like there is so much they could do with that IP that they're not. And I think I remember someone saying it before Sword and Shield. There was a what's the Pokemon company that develops them called again?
The Pokemon Company.
No, like what's the actual like developers?
Game
Um,
Freak?
Yeah, Game Freak. So Game
Yeah.
Freak released a game around about the same time as Sword and Shield. I can't remember what it was called, but it actually looked like they put love into the game. Like I know that sounds corny as, but like when a developer looks like they really love making the game, you can feel it, and it just feels like for me they haven't like loved the series since maybe like before like the black and white games.
That's definitely. I'm just looking now, by the way. Giga Wreckers came out at the same time as Old Sun and
It
Moon.
was it was like a village game. I can't remember what it was called.
Little Town Hero
That might have been it. I don't know.
that
I,
came
I
out
look.
just
It might have.
before
It
Sword
might
and
have never,
Shield.
never even gotten released. I remember them seeing it, showing it as like a work in progress. I was like, that looks like it'd be a cool Pokemon game. They're like, this is not a Pokemon game. I was like, oh,
I definitely think, by the way, Black and White is where they dropped the ball too. I feel like I actually remember when they released it in Japan first, and then the worldwide release happened like months later. So I actually played. Um, I was naughty and played the emulated version of that game in Japanese, and I think I finished
yeah,
it, and it was just yeah. I was like, okay, well, that's just another Pokemon game. Where the rest of them, and I came into Pokemon pretty late too. Actually, I think Fire Red was my first game, but I didn't play that until I was 14, 15. Um,
yeah,
so I came into Pokemon pretty late, like the mainline series. I always remember Stadium 2, and I swear if they remaster those or bring them out, play the shit out of them 100%. Love those games,
yeah.
but yeah, I feel like the mainline, they really dropped the ball at Black and White, so yeah, I don't know.
It was Little Town Hero that I thought about. Like, it just the art style was what I think caught me. I don't know if it was actually a good game or not, but it looked like they were putting an effort into it.
You can definitely, I'm just trying to Google it now and bring up a trailer for
It's
the.
it's a solid, it's a solid 7 out of 10, I think.
Fair enough.
But it just yeah, it looked like they put like love and effort into it.
Yeah, fair enough.
Which it's a horrible thing to say when you don't think your developers put that love into it, because there would be a lot of people
Battery low.
in the company and that sort of thing that literally would have put their heart and soul into it. So I'm not like criticizing the developers or anything,
No,
but
that's fair.
that's just how it's felt to me.
I think definitely going back to Cyberpunk, that feels loveless, and that's a really really unfair thing for me to say too, because I have heard stories, people posting online on Reddits and Twitters and stuff how hard they worked to try and get that game to be what it was and what it was supposed to be, I should say. And I know it's an awful thing for me to call that game loveless, but it's really really what it felt like to me, and
Yeah,
um, yeah, I think that's just such a poor thing to produce, especially now when you got so many other video games out there by people who want to play video games. I know Blizzard are having huge issues at the moment, and to me, their games have felt loveless for a while. So yeah, I don't know. It's just why the fuck would you want to play a Blizzard game right now anyway? Honestly.
I honestly don't know any Blizzard games out at the moment.
I mean, they go the games of service route almost, where they launch this huge title and then um, go from there. Like Diablo 2 Remaster was their last big release, and it's kind of shit.
Didn't
Like,
play that.
it just looks like Diablo 2, and a lot of people
Yeah,
love Diablo 2, but it's Diablo 2. Like, what else do you want? Like, I don't know. Yeah, speaking of loveless corporations who feel like they don't give a shit, Nintendo have just released the pricing for their Nintendo Online Extras program. I don't know what it's actually called, but it's the SNES, not the SNES, sorry, the 64 games and the Sega Genesis games bundle. So it's extra to the online service, which is kind of a shame to see actually. Um, I don't like that at all, that they've made these games behind a paywall, and it's going to cost an extra $30 a year on top of Nintendo Online. So that's $50 a year you technically have to play games that came out years, decades ago, you know? So, yeah, that feels loveless to me, honestly.
I kind of like I kind of agree with you and I kind of disagree with you in the fact that like there is going to be a lot of people with Nintendo like online accounts and that sort of thing that have absolutely no interest in playing the 64 games and that sort of thing. Like they literally only have their online to be able to play whatever game they're playing online and that sort of thing. And like I feel like for them to then, if they just for argument's sake had have just upped the price of online, there would have been a lot of people that are getting charged extra for something they just don't even want. Now,
Yeah.
if you make it so like the ones that actually want to play it, they pay for it, like that makes sense to me. Like, I don't think the amount is right. Like as you were saying, these are games that came out 26 years ago or whatever. Like, um, what you call it? Like that, it should have been like you could have been like, yeah, as you're saying, like a Nintendo Online Premium, and it'd just be like $5 extra on top of your account or whatever. Which actually, did you say it's $30 a year?
I think let me pull it up because I think it's $30 a year. Um,
Well, that's no, to be honest, that's not a lot if you think about it. Like if you
yeah,
break it down monthly.
I'm definitely coming from the point where you shouldn't be paying extra for this at all either. To be honest,
Yeah.
the link is in the Google Docs by the way. If you wanted to click on it as well and have a look at it. But the expansion pass, so literally it launches tomorrow or whenever October 26th is in Japan or America or somewhere that isn't Australia because it's never actually our time. Um, so they've got a trailer. So they've got a couple, they've got 64 games. They've got what, 15,
Okay. If
16.
there's only 964 games, no, then I redact my statement.
Like this is, and we
Oh,
kind of are unraveling this puzzle because I know we haven't talked about this prior much at all. So we're kind of going through this together. But they've got what, 5, 16 Mega Drive games, Sega Mega Drive games, and it also comes with Animal Crossing DLC, which is $25 on its own, and people are hyped for it, and people want to, they love Animal Crossing and want to play that. I think that this product should be included in an already existing Nintendo Online product, and just don't add the DLC in. Like, what are you doing,
look, yeah.
Nintendo?
Um, for me, this is so it's similar to how I think Xbox has approached this, and Xbox was a little bit more subtle in doing it. I think this is their way of just literally upping the price of Nintendo Online, and they're eventually going to be going to a similar thing as Game Pass, and that they're going to have like their whole pretty much back catalog of what they can play available, and they're pretty smart with how they're doing it. In that, like, and I noticed this because I played some of the Super Nintendo games through when because I don't have Nintendo Online anymore. I don't pay for it anymore. I just can't justify it. But when I had it, I was playing some of the Super Nintendo games, and what they do is they're smart. Is like they have a rotating roster in that like there's only this certain amount of games on this month, and that's just I think that's to stop people from oh, I'm just gonna sign up for like this month, play all these games, and then I'm done. Now
Yeah,
they're like, okay, you've got these games, so you're gonna have to sign up this month, this month, this month, and this month. So I think because this is similar to what Xbox did in that they made Game Pass and Xbox Live two different things originally, and now if you get like the top tier of Game Pass that includes Xbox Live, and it's like why would you pay for Xbox Live? So I think they're just trying to slowly phase out Nintendo Online, and they want it to be whatever this new thing is. I don't like it's one of those things where we go back to our favorite quote, then like no one hates Nintendo more than a Nintendo fan.
see,
Um,
that's your Final Fantasy moment, by the way. You get one of those every week. um,
oh man, it's
I
yeah,
know
it's just
exactly what
like
you mean, though. Like,
they're
yeah,
they're they're on a path I think where it seems really stupid at the moment, and it is really stupid, but like $30 a year if you're going to be wanting to play, and they will like I assume these 64 games they will be rolling them in and out throughout the year. They'll be doing different games and that sort of thing. $30 a year isn't a lot of money. Like,
yeah.
I just yeah, it's
I,
what like
uh,
$2 a month,
yeah, sure.
$2 $2 something.
Yeah,
So
nearly just $2.60, I think, something like that.
yeah,
I totally get what it's coming from. And I still don't like it. I know what you're saying. I think Nintendo Online is massive rip off, especially with the ecosystem and the structure Nintendo have. They treat their online like you would treat a 3 week old block of cheese in your fridge. You leave it there and you pretend it
you go
doesn't
get it if you
exist.
want. I can go get it. There's
I
that cheddar in there that's turned to blue cheese.
I use that as an analogy with forgetting that you actually had cheese in your fridge from months ago. Oh no.
I don't know who bought it. There's a block of like what looks like a cheddar or something that is literally turned into a blue cheese. I'm just like,
That's gross. That almost makes me feel sick now thinking about that.
it's not in the section of the fridge I use, so I just don't care about it.
But I definitely feel like that's the Nintendo Online of your fridge. Like you don't care about it. And they have so many like Nintendo, I don't know what it is, but they're like, yeah, online exists. Hey, use this random 25 character friend code that is super inconvenient for you to send to your friends so they can be friends with you on Nintendo so you can play games with them and stuff like that. Like, with usernames, mobile phones existing. How's the trailer? There was the trailer for the Direct, the new Switch that came out. Someone's using their phone for voice chat because you can't voice chat on the Switch directly. Like, what the fuck? It's so
Yeah,
bad.
I think this is a product of the Switch being underpowered as well, though.
Yeah.
Um, I would love for Nintendo to come out with a next gen console, and I hear that there's rumors that they've got a Nintendo Direct coming up soon that probably nothing important will get announced at, but like
Fingers
one can
crossed it's
hope.
the Switch 2. I don't
Yeah,
think they need a new system. They
they do.
need not. What am I trying to say here? When I say they don't need a new system, I mean make a Switch, make it 60, make it 60 frames a second minimum, make it plugged in. It can run 4K. I guess I'm essentially saying they need a Switch Pro because I love that thing so much. Handheld, it's brilliant. Compare on the TV, it's brilliant, but they definitely need to upscale it to make it feel new again because the Switch is nearly 6 years old at this point. I think.
What you're saying is they need to make a Steam Deck.
No, that's already happening. That's coming out, and we're not getting it in Australia and New Zealand for a very long time after it releases either. By the way, so no, I definitely.
I've heard it's coming like one of the first countries to New Zealand.
Oh, really? Well, you're luckier than Australia because I think I've heard that it's not coming here for months and months. Um,
I heard it was coming here early just because old mate Gabe lives here.
I thought that was like an in joke I heard that it's not actually coming to New Zealand, but Gabe lives there, so he won't be able to get his own product. I don't know. Maybe it was just some random funny.
Maybe I read it wrong, and that they were saying it was coming. Like it was probably a joke, and they're saying it's coming here first because Gabe lives here, and so he's got his one, but no one else can get one.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know.
Whatever it ends up being, it exists. I think, yeah, maybe the Switch needs to do something similar to that, but I don't need like a Wii and then a Wii U. You know what I mean? Like the innovation doesn't need to happen. It just needs to evolve to the point where it's up to date with the 5 and the Xbox Series X. And yeah, I know that's where I sit with Nintendo.
I think, and this is my thoughts is like they need to make a beefy boy that like when docked, it's able to play like these next gen games or whatever, and then when it's um, not docked, it's pretty much just a Switch now. Like push the boundaries of what a Switch can do now, and then also have it so that it's like not on par with next gen consoles because they're not going to get something to be on par with like how giant the like PS5 and Xbox Series X. Like I Series X is like this big.
Oh,
Like
the PS5's humongous as well.
yeah,
Like
Or
Um,
they're not going to get that if they're trying to get something that's going to be able to somehow be portable. But like, if you have like a decently sized dock where then like the new Switch or whatever goes into it, I honestly like I would not be mad if they just brought out a Switch Pro dock
I was
and it's
about to say the
just
same thing, where
yeah
you have a dock and it's got the upscaling stuff in it. So it's got a an RTX GPU, and it like let's say the Switch Pro dock, it might cost $500 or whatever it costs. It's got all the hardware in that, so you have the same Switch. You're playing your Switch; it's the exact same thing. You plug it in the dock, and it's this whole new experience. And maybe there's like games that can only come out, and you can only play these games docked, but I think it'd be great. I would love that. There's probably I love playing my Switch handheld, and I love playing it docked, and I think that an upscaled version of what we have now would be amazing too. So I don't know. I think we're on the same path here, like the same kind of
yeah.
wavelength of that one.
The only shitty thing will be then like there will be confusion of like what can I play not docked and what can I play docked. Look, that's a job for people smarter than me.
Yeah, look, we don't work for Nintendo, so we're just here at the Not to Get Political podcast, which you should all like and subscribe. By the way, down below, do the very nice, beautiful things that you've all been doing. So we thank you for that. It's been awesome. And the feedback as well has been really nice to hear. So we appreciate those. So leave a comment if you enjoyed it or what you think we should improve on and talk about. Lucas, I'd like to.
If you didn't enjoy it, message me directly. I love that hate mail. Just give it to me. I want it.
No, tweet him because we need the drama. That's what we need is the drama. We need to get on live stream fails.
I probably won't read it if you tweeted at me. That's the tweeted him, and then he can tell me that I've been tweeted at.
Just yeah, let's direct all your hate towards Lucas to me, and I'll somehow get it to him. It's like the North Pole. It's like letters for Santa, but it's actually just hate mail for Lucas. Which sounds awful,
What's that
but
one? What's that one where the dyslexic kids try to send letters to Santa, but then accidentally send them to Satan?
that's a movie.
No, it's not a movie.
Oh,
It's
okay.
no,
You said what's that one where the kid and I was just like I was waiting for like the
no, it's
premise.
just no, it's just it's like it's a meme. I think it's just literally like Satan's outside of his mailbox just before Christmas, and he's got all these Christmas letters.
Yeah,
I just
okay,
thought
that's pretty funny. Lucas, I'd
that
like to
could be.
thank you again for being here, co-hosting this week. Um, once a week you get a graphic. I can't give you two. It's them rules, son. But in all seriousness, no. Thank you very much for being here, and yeah. Thanks everyone for watching. See you next time.